Hey everyone, welcome to tonight's vlog showing the truck camp. This is a video I recently uploaded, but by the time I upload this and the other video itself, it's probably going to be 2 or more weeks old. Just go through my editing process, and I have like a algorithm of my own that I stick to. Got a little security light on the outside of the truck. So when I walk up to the door, also the back of it has security lights, so if I know there's an animal or something walking around. Today I realized that motion sensor can actually look in here. I think it can maybe see the mirror, because if I'm sitting in there, I'm able to trigger it, I believe. So the temperature outside right now, we've got down to, I think that's saying 5 degrees. Look at that truck tire sunk halfway in the ground. There's a container of motor oil there. Is that full or is that empty? It's empty. Got jack stands here. I have a lock on here for when I'm not here for a while. I do lock it. Although this is out in the middle of nowhere, someone would just have to bring bolt cutters. It really doesn't make a difference. Up there, we're burning very clean. Barely any smoke coming out at all. On the roof, we got about 8 inches of snow. We had about 8 inches up top on the chimney cap, but that quickly melted. We got a half a moon up there. Right here, the step is kind of rusted through. That's why those blocks are there. Today, I cleaned out the glove box. There's like a frozen mud in there, so in the summer, I'll sweep that out and clean it out nice. In the winter, I feel like that'd be a good place to put food because it's so close to the outdoor elements. Maybe, but that's a better one, I think. I actually have a cooler in here right now with my breakfast, which is grilled cheese. Close this on up. The motion sensor can't see through. I think the window's just filthy. That might be why. Got my snowshoes. Got some mouse traps in here. I don't use the wooden ones anymore at home either. The wooden ones, unless you take the time to screw it to a 2x4, the mouse usually can run off with it. I don't think they're strong enough, but these ones here I've never had luck with yet, this model. So they stick their head in here. They lift that up, which sets it off. The best ones are made by Victor. They're plastic ones like this, but it's a trigger plate. You never don't have a mouse caught in it. And mice have destroyed so much of my own property, so it doesn't matter to me at all killing them. This place here was so filled with mouse poop when I first got it. It was disgusting. It took so long to clean. I had to rip the ceiling panels down. There were so many nests. Same with my house. I had to rip down a lot of walls. Still, even this year, I found electrical wires chewed through where the negative and positives were almost touching. Mice have caused me a lot of damage over the years, so I don't play with them anymore. I don't relocate them like I used to in old videos because all I'm doing is giving the issue to someone else. So here I brought some hardwood to the truck camp over the summer. In the back, I have an entire firewood rack of it. I could probably heat this place for a week or 2 with the amount we have stockpiled. Nice hardwood. This produces more heat. It keeps this place hotter, and it also is keeping this place, you don't have to mess with the fireplace nearly as often as the pine, which has half the BTU value, which means it produces half the heat for the amount of wood in there. So this stuff, it burns like twice as hot, lasts a lot longer. It's keeping us within operating temp all the time. Before I had the door cracked when I was cooking with it, it was up here in the too hot zone. This building, it's completely made out of metal, so I don't care if it's overheating. I don't care if there's a chimney fire. It'll burn itself out. Everything outside is snow. Does not matter to me one bit, overheating it. I don't think I'm going to crack it. I've done this so many times with that stove. Definitely wouldn't try that in the house, overheating it like that. Definitely not, but... So right here, I believe I did the spray foaming when it was cold. Spray foam is supposed to be white like that if done properly. It turns yellowish like that if you do it when temperatures are too cold and it doesn't cure properly. Here's more camping stuff. Those are all little pipes associated with my little camping stoves. That one there, I've been wanting to convert to propane and somehow put a thermostat in there. I've talked about that for a while. I just don't know how to do it. I want it to be set up like a propane water heater, which is able to run, without power, and the pilot light automatically goes over and turns the burner on when it gets too cold. Don't know how I would exactly set that up. I know it's possible, but I haven't been able to. I got that brand new pot right there. I'm hoping to make maple syrup with some of the trees we have with this burner. This is what we used before, but I don't like aluminum pots. I think they're actually horrible. I think they leach it into your food. See how it's all corroded and stuff? I'm not using that again. So I bought the stainless steel one, which is actually very cheap at Walmart, 20 bucks. Big pot. And I've been cleaning in here. I just got rid of a bunch of stuff, exposing the mouse poop I didn't know was there. In the summer, I'll bring a vacuum with a big power bank to power it. It's exactly 70 degrees in here. It'll get hotter. That door was recently open when I was cooking. If I open this up, well, I'm not going to open it up, but my Yahoo cooler's inside there. If I move that box and open up the engine compartment, there's no engine in there. But I did notice the frame out front is very covered in oil, so it definitely had a oil leak problem. They must have been topping this thing off all the time. Amazingly, in my state, I was told by a mechanic that there is no law against how much engine oil you can leak. He said that he has some customers that have to put a liter of oil in their engine literally every day when they leave to go to work. That's how badly they leak. I'm surprised that there's no environmental law against that, but there's not. But this thing here, it leaked a ton. It actually preserved the front of the frame. I know some guys, they'll cover their entire frame with fifth wheel grease, even the rocker panels and parts of the body of the truck with tractor grease or motor oil. It helps preserve it. It really does. But underneath the truck, because this thing was registered, who knows? I don't know how old this truck is. To me, it looks like something from the 70s. But it was last registered in the 90s, so it had a good 20 years on the road. The frame underneath, when I looked underneath there, it is rusted out bad. There's even some fractures and cracks on the frame. Maybe that's why it was put out of service. I don't know. There's even a little stretch fracture there. See, right here, it's corroded. The aluminum somehow got corroded. See that? That's not really that structural. Maybe I should put some kind of brace here, like angle iron, and screw it. I just noticed that actually right now for the first time. But, oh, look at that. Look at how corroded that is. What does that? Salt? Does anyone in the comments know? I just realized that for the first time. It's very heavily corroded. Just that front panel. The rest are okay. But I do have a 2x4 outside. I'm going to put back on the ceiling. And I got these building jacks. Those are there in case I'm not around. And if we ever got like 4 feet of snow, which is actually kind of normal to get this far north. If we have like 4 feet of snow, these things go in there. Because I might not visit this truck for months at a time. And if the road becomes impassable, then I'm not coming up here at all. So those are going back into place when I leave tomorrow with a 2x4 running down the center here just to give it a little extra, because last year I saw it buckling a little. That's actually the first time I saw that corrosion. What causes corrosion like this? Is it mouse pee? It might be, because there was a ceiling I ripped down in here and there was so many mouse nests. It smelled disgusting. I have a video cleaning this place at first, and all over the floor, I literally filled a 30-gallon trash can with only mouse feces. Actually, I think I filled 2 of them. I want to get a mop the next time I come in here because I want to be able to mop the floors. These were nice and shiny when I first cleaned this truck. I deep cleaned it of mouse feces when I first got it. And I want to clean it again because there's like soot on the floor. There's mud I'm tracking in. This thing, it leaks a little bit when it rains. The chimney cap, I think when there's wind-driven rain, it comes down a little. It dribbles down the pipe. You see, there's water marks, a little bit of rust staining on the floor. Not a big deal. I thought about painting this thing with cooking oil or something, because you see when I splash butter or something, it looks nice and dark. That's how you actually season cookware and wood stoves. They make special oil for it, but I've seen guys use just plain old cooking oil, and it won't be all faded looking like that. It won't be rusty. Nothing like that. I could paint it while it's cold with oil, heat it up, it'll smoke a bunch. I'll just leave the door open and it'll look brand new again. Might be a summer project. Maybe I'll make a video of that. But in the meantime, I really don't care. I love how this place looks a little rusty. Looks like it's been here, set up for a while like this. Very primitive. I like how it looks still abandoned. I like it. So over here, I've got some rice, some other food I was making tonight. Put the butter over here because it's kind of hot and I don't want it to melt. I guess I'll open that compartment and put it in with the cooler later. Got some fencing. Usually I have to move a ton of stuff outside, but I only had to move a few sheets of plywood I was storing in here. I got rid of so much stuff last time during the summer camp in here that I just know I'll never use. I left this in here from the summer camp about 20 minutes ago. I shook it real hard after it was frozen solid a few hours ago. Now it's like a beautiful slush. Yeah, it's like a slush puppy. Now it's a little more liquid than ice, but it was very snow cone-ish where you could barely pour it out before. I made some actually really good fried rice. I used butter instead of oil. I used the 5-minute rice over there. I cook it in broth instead of water, which makes it a little better. Then I go ahead and I cook up some of this, or I hydrate this and eventually cook it into the rice. It tastes just like fresh stuff, but it is freeze-dried, shelf-stable for 30 years, and, oh, it says 25, but I'm the old food guy. I've opened stuff like this before, 50 years past the date, and it's always still good. But once it's open, it's got a 1-year shelf life to use it up. So I added that. I added a can of chicken, a can of mixed vegetables. I tried to sear the chicken and vegetables, make them a little crispy before mixing everything else in. Didn't work out. This didn't produce enough flame or heat to be able to sear stuff, but it came out really good when I mixed it all together. I added this into there, which adds a lot of flavor when you're making rice. I used some hot pepper flakes, Italian season, pepper, mix all that together. It was really good, actually. I cooked fish, ate all the fish, and you should have seen how much garlic I just ate. I'm going to stink when I sweat tomorrow, or when I sweat later tonight from being near the stove. I ate an entire bag of pre-peeled garlic cloves. There must have been 50 garlic cloves I just ate. Oh, I'm definitely not a vampire, if that theory's true. Go ahead and have the rest of this. It's chilly outside. I don't even notice it. Last year, well, it is like 5 degrees outside. Last year I camped in here, I think it was negative 20 something, and I was actually very cold at night. It was also very windy, which helped force air in and out of here, making it so the wood stove struggled. But last year I was using only the evergreen. Now that we got hardwood that produces more heat and a longer burn time, I don't think I'm going to get woken up in the middle of the night by it being cold. Last year I would say it never got below like 45 at night. This time I think we'll actually keep a good room temperature. I sleep best when it's between 50 and 60, honestly, under the covers. So I'll let it drop back a little like that, and then I'll sleep. Yep. So yeah, I plan on making some maple syrup in the spring. I also have to remove certain items that mice might chew while I'm in here. I found today when I removed some stuff a big mouse nest. There was no one living in it, but it was made of insulation and toilet paper. Obviously an old nest because they didn't touch that toilet paper. So I cleaned out the glove box. I said I did that. It was full of like lights and things. I put a few hooks up here so I could hang things. And I just realized this for the very first time. I'm not going to touch it now. It's been like that a while. I'm sure this place will survive the winter, but I want to come out here with angle iron and a whole ton of self-tapping sheet metal screws, because this got no structural strength. Look at that, all the way through the bottom, and there's a fracture on the side. It might as well not even be there, that piece. But that one's okay, and the one behind it's okay. So just that one's compromised. This one, a little bit of its strength's gone. This one looks pretty good. A little compromised, and the rest look pretty good. Decent enough. So this place survived here in the woods since 1992. It hasn't moved, that I believe. But the snow was never a real problem, but obviously some of these are compromised. I put a metal roof on it because it was leaking. If you can see it sagged a little bit, it would form puddles that would drip for weeks after any rainstorm. It would just kind of hold it up there. So now I put a brace or a thing in the middle to give it a little slant and put metal roofing. That was a flaw. That little brace makes it so all the weight is in the middle of the beams instead of evenly distributed. So that was my flaw. Someday I hope to redo the roof into a steep A-frame, but I'm going to need help with that. Or maybe I'll make some trusses that are very small just to slant it. and there won't be any storage space. But that was a hope of mine at some point, making like a little ladder going up into a loft, but maybe I'll just leave it the way it is. It's good enough, and that would probably cost a lot to convert it like that. The mirrors all came with the truck. I wish I made better footage of taking all the debris out of here, but I didn't expect to turn it into what I did. This was a rotted piece of plywood originally. I used the pressure treated wood and made a new area, and pressure treated wood shrinks when it dries. That's why there's cracks, and I can actually feel freezing air coming out. That's actually not that bad. Freezing air is coming out and getting sucked right into the wood stove. I guess it's better than a high point. I'll never feel it with my body, just my feet. I want to maybe paint that silver in here. So, doing pretty good. This thing's got 286,000. No, it's got 28,603 miles. It probably turned over. Old vehicles, their odometers only went up to 99,999. Then they roll back. So you never, they also don't have computers, these older vehicles. So you have no way of knowing, is that 28,000 miles, 128, 228, 328? You never know. Something tells me it's probably 228 because who knows? Older vehicles, it depends what it was. Some of them just didn't last as long as modern ones. So maybe 128,000. I don't know. Got a tag up here from Texaco to last time serviced. It says 779. That might be a very old tag. It looks like 1979, whenever that service date was. But I know it was registered in the early 90s. The key's broken off in the ignition. I have the keys to the doors. Neither of the locks work. That lock's missing. I actually just threw that lock out and found it in there. But I have a new lock on the outside. Yeah, I don't think that would work. And the other one's seized. Look at this really heavy-duty handle. You know what? I'm looking at this now, and I think maybe I could get that latch to lift up out of there. Maybe I could open. No, the tracks are seized. It doesn't even want to move. Yeah. It may also be screwed shut. I don't know. But it's okay what I have here. Let's see. Not even going to try to fix it. I got this lock here. Wow, it's really cold out. Can feel that immediately. Since I've been talking, it hasn't moved temperature at all. Pretty cool though. Just wanted to make a little vlog of what I'm doing in here, other than my main video. I'm gonna sit down a little bit. I don't know if I'm gonna film really anything else before I go to bed. It's more of an update of the place. Nothing's really changed. I think this last camping video is more of just a horrible cooking show, something like that. People love to hate on my cooking, but it tastes good to me. That's all that really matters. Yeah, this completely melted. There's just a little chunk of ice in the middle now. I don't drink often. It's probably been over a month since I've had anything. If I drink something like this, usually I'll feel a buzz after that amount of time, but I'm not feeling anything today from it. Sometimes I actually do. Right here's a whole bunch of tree taps. See, it says 25 cents each. Must have got at least 100 of them down in there. The old vintage tree taps. Let me show you. These are actually handles from my original culvert camp video. So here are some tree taps. These are vintage maybe. That one's broken, but not antique. If I go below the toe straps, I got this all as a lot. I think I only paid like 10 bucks. Wait, did I misremember? So they're not antique, they're just vintage ones, metal ones. I thought I had some really good ones. Oh, I may have misremembered. Nope, they're just vintage ones. No, for some reason I thought I had the antique cast iron ones in there, but I didn't pay 25 cents each. I think the lady gave me that whole thing, the toe straps, the metal buckets, all that for 10 or even $5. I know it was at the end of an estate sale when they were trying to get rid of everything. Yeah, that was like one of the best estate sales I ever went to. I got the generator. I got a whole bunch of tools and things for pennies because the person said anything that's here within an hour is going to go in that dumpster when they close up. So they were like practically giving things away. I actually should have probably waited. I went there the day before and bought the generator, and then that Sunday I went back to look, and that's when they were practically giving things away. I bet the generator wouldn't have sold. I should have waited a day. Probably could have got it for close to nothing, but they were asking $125 for the generator. The lady told me the more times you pull it and it doesn't start, price will get lower. I think I got it for $75 and brought it home. The gasoline turned to it looked like turpentine. It was bright brown. It was probably sitting in that thing for 20 years. It went bad. That's why I wasn't starting. Dumped out the gas, burned it off. I think we used it to start fires because at that point the gasoline was no longer flammable. It was more like diesel fuel. You could put out a match in it. But I had to take apart the carburetor, clean the spark plug, clean the carburetor. After doing that, it started right up. Every minute or so, it has like a slight pop. I think it just needs a little adjustment of the carburetor. It slightly backfires every now and then, but it produces power. The alternator works, and it'll do fine if I ever have to use it during a power outage. Because I would just use it for like the freezer and refrigerator, run it for a couple hours every day until the power comes back on if need be. I could also maybe shut the breaker panel off, and I can maybe backfeed to only important things like the furnace. But I have a wood stove. I'll never have to do something like that. But at that time, I didn't have a wood stove. So that's what I was thinking. I would have shut the breaker off to the wood stove because it's illegal to backfeed to the power grid. You could kill someone on the power line when it's being worked on because they think it's off and they don't expect that you're backfeeding them. So without a disconnect like that, you would manually do it. That's one of the reasons why you're not supposed to, because most people doing stuff like that are not smart. But I would find a way to disconnect the wires in the furnace and make some kind of reverse plug. But I'm never going to do that now because I got the wood stove. My furnace has not been on for the past 3 weeks. It only turns on if I'm away and I can't put fuel in the wood stove. Usually on a normal year, I'll burn through 3 275-gallon tanks of diesel fuel to heat the house. That's not actually true. It's probably 2 tanks because I usually have it filled a little bit above a quarter tank to make sure I never run out. So we'll just say 2 tanks a year. But last year I burned through not even half a tank. This year, maybe a little over half a tank, only because I'm not home as often this year to use the wood stove. But still, I'm saving a ton of money on fuel, and the wood stove will pay for itself in one more heating season of wood, even if I have to buy the wood. The wood works a lot better if you buy it because all I have is pine. That camera light died. This camera light's getting dim. This is a very powerful one. It's very hot actually to the touch. It's nice to hold when you're walking in the woods and it's really cold. It's a dive lamp. I think it's meant to be in the water to keep itself cool. It doesn't overheat nearly as much as it is now because I'm indoors and it's warm in here. If I'm walking around in the really cold, it keeps itself. Someone might be right. Maybe I'll burn it out someday by doing this, but so far nothing yet. But maybe I should only use it in cold weather because it's very hot. And there are 4 lithium-ion batteries in there that I know probably could explode because this is hot enough to basically burn you right now. That light just shut off. I'll have to hook a power bank up to that to get it back on. I do have a change of batteries for this back in the truck. I'll have to go get that. All right, I'm going to end this vlog right now. Hope today's video was interesting, everybody. Thanks for watching and have a great day. How's this thing doing? It's in the lower operating temperature, so it's time to fuel it up. Got a lot of hot coals in there. We're going to pull those forward, and then we'll add some more wood on top of it.